Long before the Spaniards arrived in the Philippines, villages abounded along the banks of the Pasig River. One of these was a palisaded fort called Maynila. Ruled by Ras Sulaiman, a native chieftain, the citadel was trade center for the Asian goods. Peace in the thriving community was shattered upon the arrival of the Spaniards, led by Master of Camp Martin de Goiti and later by Conquistador Miguel Lopez de Legazpi. The fort was burned twice, first by the Spaniards under the Goiti and later by the natives themselves, before it was completely left to the Spanish colonizers. On June 24, 1571, Legazpi founded the city of Manila on the site of the old settlement. The city became the capital and seat of Spanish sovereignty in the Orient for every 3 years.
Threats of invasions by Chinese and Japanese pirates prompted the constructions of defenses consisting of high stone walls, bulwarks, and moats. The walls stretched to 4.5 kilometers in length, enclosing a pentagonal area of approximately 64 hectares. The area consists of residences, churches, palaces, schools, and government buildings. Entry was made possible through gates with drawbridges which were closed before midnight and opened at the break of dawn. It was in this manner that the city earned the home Intramuros, meaning within the walls, honored by King Philip II with the title Ensign y Siempre Leal Ciudad, distinguished and ever loyal city. It served as the political, cultural, educational, religious, and commercial center of Spain's empire in the east.
The riches of Asia were gathered in the Ciudad Morada or Walled City, as Intramuros was later known, and loaded on galleons for transport to Acapulco, Mexico. But the walls did not discourage other ambitious European powers. Dutch pirates were driven off several times from Philippine waters. The walls suffered heavy damage and valuable properties were looted when the British invaded Intramuros in 1762. They ruled for almost 2 years before returning the country to Spain. The Spanish-American War in 1898 brought the Americans to the Philippines. Intramuros was surrendered to them after a mock battle. The Philippines began a different lifestyle with their new colonial master. Major portions of the walls, including 2 gates, were destroyed to make way for roads to Intramuros.
The Japanese occupied the Philippines at the outbreak of World War II. For 3 years, fear and death stalked the city. Fort Santiago became a hell house where the Japanese army tortured and killed hundreds of hapless civilians and guerrillas. After surviving a number of earthquakes, typhoons, fires, and wars through the centuries, Intramuros took a death blow when the Americans liberated the Philippines from the Japanese in 1945. Artillery shells reduced the walls and buildings to ashes. Thousands dead during the 8-day siege. When it was over, Intramuros was a dead city. In 1946, the United States recognized Philippines' independence, but the city did not spring back to life.
Decades after the war, it became a vast wasteland overrun by informal settlers and warehouses, trucks, and container vans rumbled through the streets, further damaging the run buildings and endangering the foundations of 4th century old San Agustin Church. On April 10, 1979, Presidential Decree 1616 created the Intramuros Administration to restore and develop the walled city as a historic site and major tourist attraction today. Efforts to preserve the walled city and revive its illustrious past are stronger than ever. The present generations of Filipinos has come to realize its value was a national heritage, as in the days of our forefathers, Intramuros is a priceless treasure to be shared with the world.
Fort Santiago.
Heavy time.
Walk into one of the oldest Hispanic stone fortresses in the country. Fort Santiago is located in the northern part of the walled city in pre-colonial times. This was the site of Raja Sulaiman's kuta of the fort. The Spaniards, under the term of Governor General Gomez Perez Dasmariñas, fortified what originally stone structures. Other governors general continued to modernize Fort Santiago, which make it probably the best laid out portion of the wall. Pay a visit to the shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe, a queen chapel in the Reducto de San Francisco Javier, constructed in 1773. The Rizal Shrine is a reconstruction of the colonial period barracks where the patriot Dr. Jose Rizal was confined during his trial for sedition. It houses a museum where mementos of the hero can be viewed. Almacenes Reales, the royal storehouses used by colonial military forces during the Spanish, American, and Japanese occupation. Baluarte de Santa Barbara, built in the 16th century, now houses the Rizaliana Furniture Exhibit. It offers tourists a view of the Pasig River.
Fort Santiago, one of the oldest fortifications in Manila, built in 1571 on the site of native settlement of Raja Sulaiman. First fort was a palisaded structure of logs and earth, destroyed in the Limahong attack in 1574. Stone fort built between 1589 and 1592, damaged in the 1645 earthquake and repaired and strengthened from 1658 to 1663. Became the headquarters of the British Occupation Army from 1762 to 1764, repaired and renovated in 1778. Former headquarters of the Philippines Division of the U.S. Army, occupied by the Japanese military in 1942, where hundreds of civilians and guerrillas were imprisoned, tortured, and executed. Destroyed in the Battle of Manila in 1945, used as depot in the U.S. Transportation Corps before turnover to the Philippine government in 1946. Declared Shrine of Freedom in 1950, the restoration and maintenance of the fort began in 1951 under the National Park. Development Committee management was turned over to the Intramuros administration in 1992.
Palacio del Gobernador, state residence of the Governor General of the Philippines. First palace of Palacio Real constructed in 1599 near Plaza de Armas in Fort Santiago. Destroyed in 1645 earthquake. Moved to present site, became Governor General's residence and office as well as real Audiencia. Supreme Court, reconstructed in 1733 and 1747. Damaged in the 1771 earthquake. Spanish-type facade added in 1850. Destroyed in 1863 earthquake. Abandoned when Governor General moved to Malacanang. Used as an air raid shelter during World War II, where 80 male civilians were massacred in 1945. Present building constructed in 1976 to house government offices.